the half. We'll show you how Kentucky just keeps on winning all of a sudden. We'll take you around the SEC. It's been a busy day so far, but how about Missouri so far against Alabama? Sure.
Can they keep riding through with this adrenaline? Guy went down, got to play.
And they've only made 1-3. Fish, is Alabama the best team in the country?
Whoa.
You know, that's a great question, Pat Bradley. You know, I think that the biggest question is, will Alabama be #1 in the country when it gets to the end of the year? Will they end up at Houston? And I think they'll be right there. I heard Jimmy Dykes say in the game, the Kentucky game today, that he thought Alabama was #1 in the country. You know, Purdue's been battle-tested. Zach Edey would be a tough matchup, but I certainly think Alabama has earned the right to be ranked #1. And it's because of the wins that they've had, that 4-game overtime against North Carolina, the win on the road at Houston. I don't think that's comparable to any other win this year. They slipped their foot against Gonzaga and Birmingham, lost to UConn. But other than that, this team has at times looked invincible. But I'm anxious to see how they play tonight against this hostile environment, because in order to be #1 at the end of the year, you've got to get better every single night.
Yeah, you know, it's almost like two different questions, right? Who do you think is the #1 team? Who do you think is the most talented team? I haven't seen a more talented team on the floor than Alabama. That doesn't necessarily mean come March they're going to be the #1 team. Right now, it won't be long before we start talking about quad 1 wins, quad 2. They've got 5 quad 1 wins.
Sure.
The leaders in that category was 7. Purdue has 7. Kansas has 6. And then you see what happens to Kansas today at home. Who saw that coming? As you mentioned, great job by Jamie Dixon with the Horned Frogs. But the answer to that question might change 7 times between now and Selection Sunday.
Sure, sure.
See the RPI at 3, 5 quad 1 wins, strength of schedule 4th in the country. See what they have done. They have won all 6 conference games by double digits. That is something that is very rare. In fact, they're only the 4th team in the last 50 years to do that. Kentucky did it twice, once in the 70s, once in 1995. The last team to do it, that Gator squad, 2012, 2013. So they're not just beating teams, they're beating them up.
Sure. Well, you look at Nate Oates, they started conference play 6-0. They've only done that 7 times in program history. There was a huge drought before he got here, to where there was an NCAA tournament by Avery Johnson, who I thought did a good job, was able to knock off Buzz, and Virginia Tech got beat by Jay Wright. But Coach Nate Oates has just taken it to another level.
Bama now 15 free throw attempts to Missouri's 4. That's another thing Alabama does. They get to the free throw line. They're not just all about shooting threes, even though they shoot a lot of them.
Nice hezzy.
Low by as well by East. A little too much English off the window.
Well, he had to put that English on there because Noah Clowney was breathing down the back of his neck. And that's what I mean about Alabama having potential to be such a good defensive team. I mean, you face them in the 1st or 2nd round of the NCAA tournament, I guarantee you haven't seen much like them in a combination of size, length, skill, and athleticism.
Yeah, it can take your breath away, particularly in the opening minutes of a ball game. I continue to be impressed by Mark Sears.
Pace, that's what makes him special.
Again, each shot off the glass, but not connecting. Miller trying to connect on a 3, taps it out, scooped up that time by Ronnie DeGray.
Every single attempt by Brandon Miller, he's had a contested hand in his face.
Beautiful gliding take to the bucket by DeAndre Golston. He's got 7.
He maximizes his minutes. You know him obviously for that last second shot versus UCF.
Extra pass, open 3, and that's going to be a push on Miller. Miller trying to slither in, but give Missouri credit. Great box out and positioning.
Well, you know, this crowd has been into it, and give credit for the scrappiness, for the fight of Alabama. And that's a great job. You talk about the fundamentals of basketball. Trey Gamillion doing a nice job of simply boxing out, and that's the correct call, just like they had on the other end, over the back. Brandon Miller tries to push him. But no matter how well Missouri has played in this first half, you look up and Bama's still up 5 points.
Yeah.
That's why they're so good.
17 fouls. So a 1-and-1 for Gamillion.
Missouri's going to have to make some shots here lately.
First one knocked down Friday night. Got a great gymnastics triple header for you. Look at that. All 6 teams nationally ranked in the top 25. Georgia, Florida, Bama, Kentucky, LSU, Arkansas. That's Friday Night Heights right here on the SEC Network. Alongside Damian Fishback, Mike Morgan, great to be with you here at a sellout crowd in Como, 15,000 strong. Remember, the Chiefs got a football game today, and still fans here supporting their Missouri Tigers, trying to pull off an upset against the 4th-ranked team in America, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Quinterly on a runner, pretty shot that time by Javon Quinterly.
Unstoppable. I thought he was going to go one-on-one against Diarra, but he got to where he wanted to be on the floor and just kissed it off the window.
And then a turnover on Mizzou.
Coach Dennis Gates, I thought he was going to help give Steve Anderson the ball. He kind of grabbed it so he could talk to him for a few seconds. And then threw it over to Jason Baker. I need your ear for a couple of seconds on that call, sir.
It's only the 6th turnover on Mizzou. Quinterly feeling it. Time machine. This is Javon Quinterly of a couple years ago.
How many weapons does this team have?
If he gets going and starts playing like the all-SEC guard that he's been before the knee injury, look out. Just another explosive weapon for this Alabama offense. Gamillion with a hand in his face by Miller, and then a foul down low on Alabama.
Well, if you think you got Alabama figured out by trying to stop Brandon Miller or Noah Clowney or Mark Sears, just remember, Coach Nate Oates has got more weapons than John Wick on that sideline. And Javon Quinterly is somebody that he's got in his back pocket. That's why Alabama is going to be dangerous come March.
I mean, think about this. You're talking about a preseason all-SEC guard in Javon Quinterly. He's coming off the bench. He's coming off the bench for Alabama. He's fighting for minutes right now. And he helped give Alabama its largest lead, 8 points now, as the free throw in and out, no good for Diarra. Under a minute to go, first half. Alabama enjoying its largest lead of 8. Heavy traffic, kick out pass, open 3. And reeled in by Gamillion. Here comes Mizzou in transition on the attack. East thought about it, takes it, floats it. Bama has it, and Bama has the ability to play for the last shot. No, a turnover. Here's Hodge for 3, too strong. Rebound Sears, still 12 seconds. Sears going to take it anyway. Shot rejected by Hodge. And out of bounds to Bama.
I love that decision, Mike. You know, Hodge could have held it for the last shot, but against Alabama and against quality defensive teams, when you get a good look, you got to take it. A lot of times teams say, let's hold it to the last shot before the half. You play offense and defense a million times during the game of basketball. Unless there's a situation where it's momentum or something of that fact. But I think it was the right decision. We'll see what they come out of the half or out of the timeout with.
One of the things about Demoy Hodge, and you mentioned his numbers have cooled off in conference play. The defense is still traveling.
That's right.
He leads the conference in steals. You just saw a great block on that particular play. So even with Demoy Hodge's scoring numbers down, he still gives you great minutes on the defensive end.
Sure. Well, and he's still second in three-point makes, second in three-point percentage. When you look at his team, he's a guy who still manufactures points. But in a game like this, where Kobe Brown is not in the game, I don't think you can put too much on Isaiah Mosley's shoulder. I think Demoy Hodge has to be that guy who kind of picks up where Kobe Brown would have been out with the ankle injury tonight.
And again, if you are joining us late, Kobe Brown, there you see him, the senior, one of the top scorers and rebounders in the SEC, not playing today. He's got the ankle injury. Hope to have him back next week. So Missouri playing shorthanded, but still has made this a very entertaining first half.
Like the trap.
Sears bottled up, somehow got out of it, finds Clowney on the runner, and that will bring us to intermission. And Alabama will take its largest lead of the half to the locker room, a 10-point cushion, 38-28. The Tide didn't shoot the ball particularly well, just 3 for 17 from behind the arc and 36% from the field, but Tide defensively strong. Brandon Miller, 9 points, 4 rebounds, a sensational freshman. No doubt will be heard in the second half as well. Time to send it to the studio. Dari Noka and the gang have you taken care of.
Gentlemen, thank you much as we welcome you into the half. Dari Noka, Ron Slay, and Pat Bradley. Let's take you through some of the early action. What a matchup we had. A&M red hot, 7 straight wins. Kentucky starting to get back on track after consecutive losses, looking for a 3rd straight win. Oscar Tshiebwe puts it in late, and then Tshiebwe again. He was scoreless in the first half. Got in early foul trouble, played just 10 minutes, finished with 7 points, but 17 rebounds and a big. Look at him battling.
Magnus.
Somehow that thing goes. How does that go in?
Big, strong, soft hand.
Wow.
Yes.
76-67. Kentucky ends A&M's 7-game winning streak. How about Zakai Ziegler off the 24-point outburst this week? Tennessee taking on LSU. Ziegler, 12 points, had 10 assists as well. And then Tyreek Key was, well, there's Ziegler again, 3.
Bottoms.
Yep. Now you're going to get Key, who was out with an illness in their game last in midweek. 77-56 Tennessee sends LSU to a 6th straight loss. But the game we are watching right now, Alabama, Missouri, it felt like a big shot, a 10-point lead. When you've got Missouri with no Kobe Brown, that's 18 points a game. They are down. To this point, Missouri's going to fight. We know the second half they're going to fight. But what has Alabama done that's impressed you most here in the first half?
I think using everyone to get the game going. A lot of people key on a guy like Brandon Miller, but you get guys like Sears and those guys making Quinterly coming off the bench, Clowney being a maniac on the boards, give you second opportunities. That always help.
You got to find a way to match them because they're going to put up 75, 80. I don't care where it is, okay, at least. So for Missouri, it's just going to be simple. Slay, you got to make shots. You got to make threes. Yeah. Missouri is a team that makes around 10 per game, so they can do that. That's part of what they do. And I think that's the only thing that they can do in the second half.
And let me tell you this. With Missouri also, you got to be weary and watch yourself. Do not get caught in the one-on-one battles. Because playing a team with the caliber of players that Alabama has, Brandon Miller, you want to go at him. Sears, you want to go at him. But you can't. You got to play your game. Whatever that game is, play that.
And the challenge, what separates Alabama to me is their ability to defend a 3, and they defend the rim really well. So what they give you, you got to make floaters, stop and pop. I mean, that's really the only thing that you can get against their defense. They're that good.
These two teams, by the way, combined 4 for 29 from 3.
Shooting the lights out.
I feel like somebody's going to heat up, and they both typically shoot the 3 ball really well, but not to this point. All right, let's look at Kentucky again, the win over Texas A&M. What have you noticed that may have been helping or have helped Kentucky kind of get back on track a little bit?
Kind of find your identity, and that whether that's the coach telling you something in film to pay attention to or shrinking that rotation. That's something that really jumped out to me. Now you're at about 7 guys playing, maybe even 6 when you combine the 2 guys coming off the bench. That's big time because you know who's going to get the shots, when they're going to get the shots, where they're going to get the shots, shooter. That's big for shooters, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely no doubt. And they're looking for them. They're comfortable, confident. That's going to be big time moving forward for Kentucky.
Yeah.
All right, Tennessee rolls at LSU, and LSU's got to find itself. We know this.
Sure.
Year 1, Matt McMahon, it's a great start, but they've really struggled of late. But my goodness, Ziegler's been fantastic for Tennessee. They just got guys all over the place like we thought they would.
Yeah, and we talk about when Tennessee is completely healthy, okay, which we haven't seen that all season long. It's good to see Josiah Jordan-James 4 for 6 from the three-point line. If he gets back in his rhythm, he's healthy now. That just adds another element, another shooter you can depend on for Tennessee, because we know they're going to defend at an elite level.
And in the loss, K.J. Williams does go over 2,000 points in his career, which included 4 seasons at Murray State. Yeah, he's been good. You got to find the bright spots where you can find.
Yes, you do. Hannibal coming off the bench for them has been good also, but you need 5 guys to get it together. Yeah. It's tough.
All right, so we'll, again, much more still ahead. In Missouri, trailing Alabama by 10 right now. No Kobe Brown. It's going to be tough. We do know that, but boy, how about that crowd? Awfully strong. Brandon Miller, to this point, 9 points in the game. 38-28. Back in a moment. All right, welcome back. Dari Slay and Shooter, Auburn and South Carolina. Auburn on a 4-game winning streak. They've won 5 in a row against the Gamecocks, and somehow, some way, that thing ends up in the hands of Alan Flanagan.
That's what they do, get up and down the floor.
Yeah, that's when all Auburn. They were up 23, now it's 16. Johan Traore. Whoa, look at that. Actually, that's not the Traore 3. That's a contested layup there from Green. You saw the Traore 3, and it's all Auburn, as they indeed have won 5 in a row. They win it by 15. Throw down. Good. Alabama up 10. Oh, wait till you see what's going on at halftime in Columbia in a minute, folks. Ole Miss, Arkansas.
Get right, game.
Oh, look at this. The steal. Oh, my goodness, Miles Burns.
Man, jump from the SEC.
Ole Miss, that pressure defense, turnover, easy buckets for them.
You got to find some wins. They did beat South Carolina this week. They could use a few more. How about Joseph Pinion for Arkansas, who's sliding themselves? They've lost 4 in a row, but they got right 69-57. Ole Miss has lost 7 of their last 8. Georgia Vanderbilt. Georgia 10-0 at home this season. Vandy trying to get back to 500 in league play. Tyron Lawrence, the steal. Ooh, a little up and under layup.
Good hands, man. Defense to offense.
How about Vandy on the road here in this game?
Putting up points.
They like seeing Georgia, though. They were 3-0.
Now, this is the one you want to see right there.
Oh, goodness.
Explosive.
Cario Oquindo. Roberts to Oquindo. Those two, what a duo it's been. And then last chance, Jabri Abdur-Rahim. No, Vandy wins on the road. First home loss for Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Scooby of Christian and Scooby fame. Now look.
Get back up, Scooby.
Just wait.
Come on, do it for the people.
Check Scooby out.
Now, look, at this point, when it was happening live, Slay was like, he can't get over that.
Nah,
You doubted Scooby.
Y'all doubted Scooby.
Don't be doubting Scooby.
Look at him. You know what I mean? Look, his ankle he got good mobility. I see you, Scoob.
Go ahead, Scooby. Look at the focus. Look at the focus. Don't take his eye off the ball.
Watch the crowd behind him, too, when he does it.
One time, Scooby. One time. Yay!
Hey, look at Scoob.
Atta baby, Scooby.
Sellout crowd here in Como, Alabama, out to a 10-point lead against the hometown Missouri Tigers. We welcome you back inside. Mike Morgan, Damian Fishback, great to be with you. And Damian, when you talk about that first half, we were wondering how Missouri would come out without Kobe Brown. Again, he's out with an ankle injury. The answer was a resounding quite well. They got up to a terrific start, had a lead for much of the first half, and then Alabama turned it on late.
Yeah, Alabama looked like the best team in the country. And frankly, when you look at the way they started and how they finished, it just shows you how potent their offense can be, Mike. And it starts with this guy right here. He's without a question Batman, right? That's Brandon Miller. But he's got a Robin on his team as well. Mark Sears really showed me a lot here in the first half of this basketball game. When they were under attack, he showed poise under pressure. Now, as to regards to what you said, absolutely, Missouri does not have Kobe Brown, but they've got heart. They've got resiliency. They've got dedication on the defensive end. They just got to make some shots in this second half in order to get back in this basketball game. But the mindset and the effort was there, but so was Brandon Miller.
Missouri's got to make shots, and even though they didn't have a ton of turnovers, when you turn it over against Alabama, boy, do they cash in. 14 points off of turnovers. That's a 12-point differential. In a lot of ways, that's the difference in this game. We'll see if Mizzou can return the favor, force some turnovers here in the second. Bama, the lone undefeated team in SEC play at 6-0. Shot clock under 10 for Miller. Harassed by Golston. Now doubled. Turn and fire. Offensive rebound. Great position that time by Noah Clowney.
So that's what makes Alabama so tough. We mentioned the 14 points off of turnovers. They can beat you getting out in transition, scoring off of their offense. They can beat you from the three-point line, layups, free throw lines, but also where I think they can get extremely better is the offensive rebound.
Alabama +8 rebound margin on the season and #1 in the country in total rebounds per game. 2 shots at it for Mizzou, but no dice. Bama in transition. Sears had a hot first half. Can't connect on this one. Chameleon full throttle and draws the foul on Sears.
That's where Missouri's got to get out and score. The better the defense, the more you have to get out and score early offense, which is why a lot of times you don't see, when it gets to the Elite Eight, the Final Four, you don't see as much half-court sets. You see quality players making plays, whether that's an Oscar Sheedway, a Jalen Wilson, a Drew Timme, a Brandon Miller, because as good as the defensives are, you just have to go make a play, and that's what Missouri's going to have to do tonight.
They had Isaiah Mosley heating up in that first half. He'll come off the bench again here in the second half. Honor with a drive and dish. That's another guy they need to get going is D'Moy Hodge. Hodge just 3 points in the first half. This is Bradley. Lob pass down low. And weak side rejection. Noah Carter coming at you. Hodge on a blow-by. Missed it. Blocked by Clowney.
Yeah, he's trying to decide whether he was going to dunk it or just lay it up.
And then on the other end, the foul. Carter almost had 2 blocks in about a 10-second span.
What a block by Noah Carter. Nice weak side. Gets up and catches Noah Clowney asleep at the wheel, and then Noah Clowney going up and getting it off of the glass on the opposing end.
Free throw is up and through for Jaden Bradley, the talented freshman from Rochester, New York, IMG Academy.
Mike, you see the difference of what I was talking about, though? D'Moy Hodge that time, he went off of one leg, which allowed Noah Clowney to time his jump just as good, versus if he had came to a stop with a jump stop with 2 feet, he could have either went up directly or used a shot fake to throw Noah Clowney off.
Seems like in general sometimes that's a lost art. Just the pull-up off 2 feet.
Sure.
It could be such an effective weapon. See guys that should use that, and instead they barrel in and wind up with a charging call as well. 2 minutes and change into the action here in the second half. Bama has its largest lead. Golston. Great ball movement. Chameleon on a 3.
The length, it makes a difference, especially the first time you play them. They saw a little bit versus Arkansas, but not as much as they're seeing here tonight.
That's a great pass by Sears, and that's an and 1 for Noah Clowney. Noah Clowney, who Nate Oates describes as a film warrior, has turned himself perhaps into a first-round draft pick. Definitely one of the better post players in this league. Challenge. Alabama will be on the road taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. I mentioned earlier, Missouri will host Iowa State. That'll be on ESPN2. That'll be an entertaining clash, to say the least. Of course, it's always special when Missouri gets to play some of its old foes from its previous conference as well. How about Texas and Tennessee? How about Kansas and Kentucky? I mean, there are some premier matchups in that event.
Yeah, well, Iowa State actually goes down today against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, you know, one of those teams continuing to kind of stay on the bubble with Joe Lunardi's kind of last 4 in, first 4 out. And the Big 12, what an opportunity for the SEC. The Big 12, at one point, Joe Lunardi had close to all 10 teams in the field. And so this is an opportunity for both of those power conferences to really play a game without a lot to lose. but so much to gain, and particularly for the SEC, because of where the Big 12 currently stands.
Well, I've really enjoyed that event over the last decade or so. Of course, it's about to switch from the SEC, Big 12 to the SEC, ACC.
Right.
But all those matchups, inter-conference matchups, they build up your metrics. They're good for the conference because you can't make a whole lot of stride as a conference when you're beating each other up during league play in the course of an 18-game slate.
Right.
That snaps a 13-0 run by Alabama dating back to the end of the first half. Much needed bucket for Mizzou, down to a 15-point lead. And a foul on East. Or nope, they're going to give that one to Noah Carter.
Well, and right now I sense a little bit of frustration from the Missouri Tigers, and rightfully so. In their style of play, whether it was against Kentucky, when C.J. Frederick goes out, right, or against Illinois, they typically have a run where they're going to turn you over. It's very hard to do against Alabama because they have so many good quality backcourt players. Bradley, Sears right here, Brandon Miller.
Bart Sears is going to go down as one of the best portal pickups in the conference this year. And he's just been magnificent. Missouri with an answer on the other end.
You know, you mentioned earlier that Missouri probably doesn't want to get up and down. I think Missouri actually has a better chance now after watching a half. If this game is in the 80s, 90s, almost in the hundreds like Gonzaga was.
That one comes off flat out of Dom Welch's right hand. They really want Dom Welch to pick up his play. Miller back iron. Here comes Hodge. Hodge wisely peels back, no numbers. East on a blow by that time. Sean East got it to go with a little kiss. Great ball movement for Alabama along the perimeter. Sets up Miller. Nothing but the bottom of the net.
Layup. A wide open three-point shot for that man is a layup. And Brandon Miller looks to the crowd and says, I can't hear you talking now.
Out of bounds. So we will step aside for immediate timeout with 15:27 to play.
Well, East figured out the hesitation move as well, but look at him. He says, that's up too high, too quick for you, big fella. But look at this ball movement. How pretty is this? And Brandon Miller playing some of his own string music here in Como.
There you're looking at Nate Oates, who's done a remarkable job in a short amount of time in Tuscaloosa a couple years ago. SEC tournament champs, NCAA tournaments on the regular, and now the #4 team in America. He's a young man who grew up in Watertown, Wisconsin. He played for Division III Marantha Baptist University. And he goes on to be a teacher at Romulus High School, which is near Detroit, Michigan. He's there for 11 years. It was really an interesting path to Tuscaloosa for a guy who has spent his entire life in the Midwest. And really, you can track it to the Hurley brothers. That, of course, is Nate Oates as an assistant for Bobby Hurley at Buffalo. He eventually would take over as the head coach. How did that even come about? Well, there was a player by the name of E.C. Matthews that played for Romulus when Nate Oates was the head coach. Bobby Hurley was the assistant for Danny Hurley at Rhode Island back in 2013. Bobby said, I need you to go ahead and take a look at E.C. Matthews over there and Coach Nate Oates. So Bobby goes back to Danny Hurley and says, yeah, he's good, but I tell you who else I like their head coach. So then all of a sudden Bobby gets the job at Buffalo. Danny Hurley says, you know what you need? You've never been a head coach, Bobby. You need an actual head coach. And he's like, well, I know this high school head coach who's really good. Yeah, go ahead and hire Nate Oates. He does, and the rest is history. And by the way, how does Alabama wind up figuring out Nate Oates? Well, their athletic director was at Arizona. Arizona loses to Buffalo in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And then all of a sudden, Alabama and Greg Byrne, one of the best athletic directors in the country, bar none, says, I'm going off the grid here. I'm hiring that guy at Buffalo. Did not even go and have an interview in person. It was basically sight unseen where Nate Oates and his wife said, okay, we're going to take this job. We're going to take a leap of faith, go to Tuscaloosa, and boy, is everybody glad that that worked out.
Well, Nate Oates has been the same since he got to Alabama. I remember the first time going over there to one of his practices. He's been humble but hungry, as his team has been here this evening. And wow, how impressive are they on the road here in Como in a hostile environment and playing like the #1 team in the country.
We will keep it here with 14:32 to go. The other thing about Nate Oates, we go to the shoot around last night. They fly in. Nate Oates gives us the actual analytic sheets that he has. So his coaching staff does it. They also hire out a third-party service that does analytics. And Nate Oates, I had in my handfish the actual analytics charts that Nate Oates, I felt like I was holding a treasure map, right?
Yeah.
This is like valuable. You start looking through it, and it's numbers. I mean, I felt like I was taking an advanced calculus class. Of course, Nate Oates is a former math teacher at Romulus High School as well. But one of the things he looks at is the percentage of threes that his team takes. Again, 47%, but also the amount of shots at the rim. And he wants that in the high 40 percentile. They're at 42% right now. He thinks that number could go up. So when they're not shooting threes, they're attacking the rim. He believes the worst shot in basketball is the long two, right? They don't take many of those. But I've never seen, even in this day and age of analytics, I've never seen a coach crunch numbers more than Nate Oates does.
Well, and it's working. You think about how he showed even how much a individual scored per possession. You know, Brandon Miller per possession was, I think, 1.19. Who was the best on the team. Mark Sears was really good as well. And, you know, the Oates pace, his style of play is real, but so are the players that are playing for him, and I think he gets that. Coach Nate Oates is a player's coach, and I think that's why he's had success here early for Alabama.
By the way, one other number, the other stanza you mentioned, Miller with an uncontested three. He actually has it charted. When Brandon Miller gets an uncontested three, he hits 63% of them. He said, I've never seen a college player with that kind of number, 63% of uncontested threes.
Yeah, it's a layup. But what I think, you know, as you look at Alabama, what are the knowns? The knowns are the Brandon Millers, right? They're beginning to know more about Mark Sears, but what are the unknowns? The unknowns are, you know, the depth of Alabama. They've got some guys that are playing well, but they've got some guys that are coming back as well. You think about Burnett, who's back in the game, number 25 in white. He was one of their better defenders who really helped them on the road at Houston. You think about Dom Welch, the transfer from St. Bonaventure. You think about Javon Quinterly. How quickly can he really get back to 100% where he was? He's still playing well, but those are the type of questions that you think about when you say, can this team really go to Houston and bring home a championship?
Meanwhile, if you're Missouri, how do you now get back in this game? You're down 19. You mentioned you wouldn't mind see the pace pick up a little bit. How do the Tigers pull it off here? Because they're in a danger zone with 14 minutes to go.
The defense has been solid. You know, they've had a lot of those missed shots like Noah Gurley just missed. The problem is for Missouri, they haven't been making shots. They are 1 of 17 on the night from behind the three-point line. That is unlike a Missouri team who's used to putting up 80, 90 points per game. But that's what I mean when I say, as a former player, you realize guys that make you change the way you shoot your shot. You shoot it a little bit quicker. You don't even follow through as much because of the length and them throwing your shot off.
You see a three fired off by Burnett, trying to get him back in game shape and back in a flow. They believe he could be a very valuable asset. As you mentioned, the defense is there and try to get back into a rhythm offensively as well. This was an Alabama team last year that, again, could score. But Nate Oates will be the first to tell you they did not defend well at all. This year's team plays some pretty salty defense. Honor, deep three. And the offensive follow. Diarra had it halfway down, couldn't finish. Ball squirts out into the hands of Mosley. Honor on the attack, and a foul on Bama.
Well, you asked how they got back into this game. That's one way. Chip away. You know, most people when they're down 15, 20 plus points, they come down and shoot a barrage of three-point shots. The best way to come back is to try to get to the basket. See if you can chip away. It's like chopping down a tree, one chop at a time, getting to the free throw line, score while the clock is stopped. But they're going to need some help from Alabama, too. They're going to need Alabama to turn over the basketball, to take some quick shots, and then they're going to have to rebound because Alabama has been deadly on the offensive glass.
Certainly could use that man right there, Kobe Brown, the all-SEC forward, again, out with an ankle injury in this game. And you really feel that loss now more than ever because what he would provide you, Bama keeps going on these 7-0, 10-0 type runs.
Sure.
That's a guy who can stop the bleeding at any time. You give him the ball, let him go to work.
Well, for Missouri, they just have to continue to get better and continue to gather wins. Those wins over Illinois, Kentucky, you know, those are wins that are going to last all year long.
Three ball from the corner. Pick your poison. That time it's the freshman Griffin. Alabama now heating up from outside. East with a response on the other end.
I think you've got to press up more if you're Missouri, which is tough with a guy like Javon Quinterly. The ability to pressure without losing anything defensively. That's what the good teams can all do.
Quinterly, another step back three and another make. Now we're starting to see the Javon Quinterly of old.
Man.
Remember, he was the second leading scorer last year for Alabama. Three on the other end.
You just got to make more shots.
Yeah, just 1 for 19. Blocked by Hodge, his second block of the game. Missouri with numbers. Honor with an open three. Short. And Fish, sometimes the game really comes down to that. Make shots. And they're 1 for 20 from behind the arc. Timeout on the floor with 11:40 to go. When we come back, we'll all be wiser. We'll be smarter. We'll hear from the omniscient one, Damian Fishback. Going to drop some knowledge. Fish Facts coming your way. Baby enjoying the game, doing a little hop along with Dad. Alabama up by 21 as we welcome you back inside. He is Damian Fishback. I am Mike Morgan. Fish, I used to get my knowledge and words to live by a fortune cookie. I would eat the cookie and I'd say that. That was before we brought back Fish Facts, and now, of course, I live by the knowledge that you impart on this segment. We're nearing the end of January. We're starting to find out more and more about basketball teams as we get closer and closer to the postseason. What are we looking at today? What are you dissecting right now?
Yeah, this one's extremely easy, Mike. It's that time will either promote you or expose you. Fact. And that boils down to whether you're a player, a coach, or a team right now, even a fan base. But as you look at Alabama, this team here today, right, they're a team that's playing for #1 seed. Pat Bradley asked me, he said, do you think that they're the #1 team in the country? Well, guess what, Pat Bradley? Time will either promote or expose them. They look like it today. If you're a team like Missouri and you feel like you want to be in the NCAA tournament, time will promote or expose you. And so as we look through the SEC, all of these teams are going to have opportunities through the year. I think those are all NCAA tournament teams. The question is, will they be good enough to get there over time? We'll know that that time will either promote or it will expose you.
That, of course, will be updated later on, either tonight or tomorrow, with Joe Lenardi in his bunker. Probably crunching numbers as we speak. Kentucky with a win today. That'll be an offensive foul. Kentucky might be on the right side of the bubble after the victory over A&M. A&M, of course, still right there at first 4 out as we take another look here. Great defense by Mizzou. kind of.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was. That was a car crash.
Yeah, that was an that was
Wow.
a 3-car pileup right there in the middle of the paint. That's one of those, if you're a referee, I don't know what you call it. It goes offensive. Missouri turns it over on the other end.
You know, we talked about that depth of Alabama earlier, and that's what you see Coach Nate Oates really doing. He continues to try to develop that depth. There's depth, and then there's quality depth.
Right.
I think they have depth right now, and Coach Oates is trying to develop it into that quality depth.
Yako is trying to get something going in the paint. Top floor on that rejection is Hayden Shaw. Took some air out of the pumpkin. To your point, there's some teams out there that'll play 10 guys. That doesn't mean you have quality depth. Alabama has quality depth. They got guys deep on the bench that come in and actually give you production. Here's one of them, Quinterly. Been terrific today off the bench. 10 points, 3 rebounds, a couple of assists. That time a turnover. Try to hit Bediako. Mosley. Eyes, tries, and buys the triple.
How about that for some quality depth? Como still in the building right here, not allowing their team to quit. Look, 10 minutes left to go. That is an eternity with the type of style that both of these teams play. Missouri's just got to make some shots, and as we said earlier, get a few more turnovers, get some help from Alabama in order to get into this game.
Mosley with 13 points now. Great sign as he works his way back to being a big weapon. And it's just a blow by Bradley. Found himself with nothing but a clear path to the rim. On the 3, Missouri with the response. It's Golston. Quinterly feeling it. That time. Carter on the carom. Mosley double teamed. Got it back, and just how he drew it up.
Yeah, I'd be smiling too, young fella. That worked out well for you, didn't it?
Crowd is still in it. Rebound Mizzou. East. How about that take by Sean East? Timeout Alabama. It's down to 13.
No quit in these Tigers. Isaiah Mosley saying, I'm back, Mizzou fans, and I'm trying to make some impact. Behind the back, between the legs. Looks like he's doing a ball handling drill at a basketball summer camp, but then lays it up and he's all smiles. And then you see East, that's right. Double nickel. Sean East out of Louisville, Kentucky. Ranked second on this team in assists with 3, but he decides to take that one in himself, Mike.
Missouri on a 7-0 run all of a sudden. A little bit of the light seemed to get out of this building when Alabama started draining threes left and right. But here's Mizzou, relentless. You know they're not going to quit, especially under head coach Dennis Gates, who's gotten maximum effort out of this squad all year long. The crowd, ton of juice in the building, 15,000 strong. Alabama had a 21-point lead with 10:18 to go. All of a sudden, it's been whittled down to 13.
There's different ways you can build programs. Coach Dennis Gates, he's brought some players over from Cleveland State. He's got some JUCO All-Americans. Sean East, Diarra. And man, do they play with a lot of grit and toughness.
Mark Sears back in the game, going to run some point for Bama. Clowney in the corner, open 3, Griffin.
You used to love this as a player on the road.
Right.
When the fans are on the edge of their seat, they're standing up. Why? What a shot by Griffin.
And then a steal by Clowney. Clowney all the way, and he'll go to the line for a pair. Now, if Griffin, Welch, Burnett, if these guys start picking it up in the second half of conference play, look out, because Alabama's already loaded.
Well, they're going to start, Mike. So the league, the country better be prepared. They continue to improve after every basketball game.
Now tomorrow afternoon, the 12th annual We Back Pat Week continues with a women's basketball triple header that starts with 2 games on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. It's Kentucky, Mississippi State, and then Georgia taking on A&M. That'll be at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. So happy to be associated with the We Back Pat initiative. 17-point game, break zone here in Como. Miller on the rebound, leads Alabama in the front court. Steal, and then foul. Noah Clowney just makes his presence known one way or another. 7:38 to go, the lead back to 17 for the tie. At times it has been mayhem as we check out the mayhem moment brought to you by Allstate. How about some Brandon Miller?
Well, anytime he gets out in open transition, he's continued to prove his doubters wrong. He's athletic, he's skilled, he's poised, he's patient, and one of the top draft picks of this upcoming NBA draft.
Where are these doubters? Let me have a word with them. We've seen too much of Brandon Miller to have any doubt of that young man's ability. That is for certain.
You know, as I've watched a lot of game film on him, I think today has been one of his better performances defensively. So we saw him score 22 points and a half versus LSU, multiple 30-point games. But in this game today, you know, and he's got a size advantage, but he typically does. I think his motor on the defensive end has been better. And what Coach Nate Oates said was that what he's liked best about Brandon Miller is his mindset has continued to improve.
He plays 33 minutes a game, and if you're going to be out there 33 minutes playing for Nate Oates, you're going to have to play some defense. Again, that was the Achilles heel of this team a year ago. They could put up points, but they did not defend well, and at times it really wore on the team, wore on the coaching staff. This team just has a different makeup. It's just a different deal in Tuscaloosa. By the way, they had one of the best defensive players I've ever seen in Herbert Jones. He's enjoying life in the NBA.
Absolutely.
Reaching foul on Bradley. Herbert Jones could defend, and you hear that used entirely too often. Oh, he could defend 1 through 5. Usually that's not true. That's just pure hyperbole. Herbert Jones could truly defend 1 through 5.
Yeah, and that's changed in the game of basketball today because oftentimes your 5-man, he's far from a Shaquille O'Neal or David Robinson or a Tim Duncan or Patrick Ewing, right? He's more of a mobile, leaner 5. In this lineup that Alabama's playing, Noah Clowney would be the 5, and then Noah Carter from Missouri would be the 5. So it's just a positionless game of basketball that continues to evolve and continues to impress.
You got Herbert Jones enjoying life with the New Orleans Pelicans with Kyra Lewis, another former Alabama player. JaMychal Green is still playing in the NBA. The Golden State Warriors. How long has JaMychal Green been playing? Fish, did you play against JaMychal Green?
Listen, JaMychal Green is going to play as long as they continue to pay those checks.
Absolutely. Him and Al Horford going for the Social Security Award. Al Horford still getting it done from the Florida Gator. Ton of pros from this conference enjoying life in the NBA. And you and I, every game that we get to do in this conference, we're looking at some future pros. Eventually that man's going to have some future pros on his roster as well. You know, he will be able to reel in some great recruits. Got terrific high school basketball not too far off, 2 hours eastbound in St. Louis.
We talked about doubters. Still got 2/3 left of the Southeastern Conference to play.
Monday night, SEC Inside grants you an all-access pass to the Kentucky women's basketball team at 9 Eastern, followed by the South Carolina men's team. Never before seen footage and sound from players and coaches, a real behind-the-scenes look. That's right here on the SEC Network.
But yeah, with 2/3 of the Southeastern Conference left to play, you got to remember this Missouri team was picked 11th preseason.
Yeah.
Been ranked in the top 25. I mean, the heights that they've done already, I certainly think they're an NCAA tournament team, but they've got to prove it.
Yeah, they're certainly the surprise team. I mean, you look at where some of those other teams in that bottom third were projected. A lot of them are right where they were projected. Frankly, I think the other surprise, I know they lost today to Vanderbilt, but the job that Mike White has done in Athens, University of Georgia, that's been a pleasant surprise. One crawls over the front iron for Isaiah Mosley. Remember now, Alabama wasn't picked #1. They weren't picked #2. I think, depending on what poll you looked at, 3rd or 4th in the league. They weren't talking about a matchup. February the 15th, Alabama at Tennessee.
That'll be a good one.
Get your popcorn. Uh-oh. Sean East might have had the shot of the game if he made that one drop. Mosley tries. Missouri back to a icy patch from behind the arc. Now 3 of 23 in this game. 6 minutes to play. The lead is 16 for the Tide. Sears rejected. You see that one coming. Isaiah Mosley was trailing that play and was ready to put a swat on.
Well, Mark Sears got away with the carry. We don't see it in that highlight, but before there was a shot block, but I thought he picked the basketball up. He just took it up and over the defender.
Seven blocks for Missouri in this game.
So if you look at this game and you're evaluating this Missouri Tiger team, Alabama reminds you of that quote when who was the coach who says we are who, or they are who they thought they were?
Dennis Green?
Yeah, Dennis Green. But as far as Missouri, you think about a Kobe Brown's in this game from the very beginning.
It's a different game, for sure.
With Mosley back. This is a team that you don't want to face later on in the year once they get home, especially here.
17 now for Mosley. That has been the biggest bright spot for sure. I think at 19 now for Mosley. That's a good thing to have if you're Missouri moving forward. Because Kobe Brown is going to be back. Kobe out with the ankle injury.
Well, that's where Alabama will continue to get better. You have to play physical against Alabama, but they're getting much better facing teams that play physical against them. They've been doing that ever since the Houston game.
We are on the rebound for Mizzou. Oh, that's a 5-second violation. Alabama thought they got a timeout called. Jaden Bradley. There comes a point of no return where you can't call the timeout.
Jade Oates looked like, I can't even finish a drink of water. We get a 5-second call.
Honor. Diarra. And Diarra still active.
He's going to gain some confidence from this game. You know, Coach Dennis Gates told us this morning, he said, I believe that Alabama is the best basketball team in college basketball.
Right.
And I want to see how good we can be where we're at. Unfortunately for them, they didn't have Kobe Brown, but I think they can take certainly some good from this loss as some things to work on as well.
Yeah, I mentioned the mutual respect from both of these coaches, and I tell you, you look at the rest of that schedule. Not that I'm Mr. Vegas odds maker, but Alabama's going to be favored in those 5 games. They're already on their way to a 7-0 start in league play. They've got a chance to do something awfully special. And there's tough games left. A couple against Auburn, at Tennessee, among the others. But when this team is clicking the way they are now, as Miller hits another 3, 15 for the talented freshman. Again, I don't know of a more talented team in college basketball than Alabama. Who the best team is always suggested, always subjective.
Sure.
But 1 through 10, 1 through 12 for that matter. Who's more talented than Alabama?
Well, when you look in this league, you thought that the team that could probably compete with them the most was Arkansas when they had a Trevor Brazile that was healthy and Nick Smith Jr. I thought they had a quality win, being able to knock off Ole Miss. And Coach Muss will get that team together. But now, from top to bottom, I don't think you have anyone in the SEC that has the talent level that Alabama has. Tennessee comes close. Auburn, those are the teams that are at the top, 1 through 10. They play different styles. And Tennessee and Auburn are certainly much more physical. But from skill, length, size, talent, athleticism, speed, Alabama's hard to beat.
There's the upcoming schedule for Mizzou, which hopefully for everybody involved will feature a healthy Kobe Brown back in the lineup. Tuesday in Oxford. We got to check on the injury situation with Matthew Morrell. He went down today. It's been a tough year for Kermit Davis and company from that standpoint. Iowa State, again in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. LSU at Mississippi State is what you're looking at for Missouri. No doubt they will bounce back, have better shooting days, and have better days from a health standpoint as well. We got that word incidentally on Kobe Brown. I mean,
right before tip-off.
They kept that. That was locked, top secret, top classified information. We got that literally minutes before tip-off, before we found out the news that there would be no Kobe Brown. Again, we saw him earlier today just in a walkthrough, but still he was out there. So we were as surprised as anybody that he would not be able to go today, and obviously that really changed the complexion of this game.
Well, and I've been there as a player before when you mentally try to prepare yourself. They take you through the game plan, and then you go through warm-ups, and you just can't go.
Yeah.
Right? And this was actually a coach-made call by Coach Dennis Gates saying, hey, big fella, we want you healthy. Don't put yourself in jeopardy. Sit this one out. We'll have another chance at it.
Kobe Brown, of course, the son of a high school coach back in Huntsville, Alabama. There's Bediako on the business end of an alley-oop. Diarra has been a one-man wrecking crew for Mizzou here these last few minutes.
How about Diarra? 6'10", 215 pounds. And he's definitely showed me more in this basketball game. You saw him in the Florida game. He looks raw, but he's taking strides, and he's one of those guys by the end of the year, if you can have him give you quality minutes.
Can you say aggressive in French? Me neither.
You got me there, Park.
I don't think I know more than 3 words in French, but I'm working on it. Eight points, 12 rebounds in 14 minutes for Diarra.
Story here is Alabama, though.
Yep.
The way they came in, Missouri, they came in and punched, right? They couldn't make the shots. I would have liked to see Missouri put a little bit more game pressure on Alabama, make those jump shots that they were knocking down a little bit more challenging. But man, they came in with their Nate Oates hard hat and played extremely good basketball.
On top of everything else, Alabama is going to improve to 6-0 in true road games. And when you start talking about March Madness, every year we see teams that are dominant at home,
Right.
but then they get exposed in the NCAA tournament because they're home court wonders.
Right.
That's not this Alabama team. Not this Alabama team at all.
Well, you know, Bama fans traveled today too. You hear some screams from Alabama fans who came here to Columbia, Missouri, and that's what you see as you start getting momentum just about anywhere in the SEC. You know, people talk about, why don't SEC fans support football like they do basketball? Because SEC fans only want one thing. That's elite success. And now that Alabama's had some of that, I think you'll see even more support.
I have no words for that, but I'm liking the hat. Did you lend him that fish? Come on now.
Oh, man. Time to take it in, Paul. That's my word.
Mosley. Missouri on top of everything else. Might be running out of gas a little bit. Alabama's going to improve to 7-0 in league play, 17-2 overall, and 6-0 on the road. Nate Oates will take the show back, and they'll have a battle at the Coleman Coliseum on Wednesday against Mississippi State. Look at that. All 7 games have been won by double digits. The average margin of victory, 21. That'll do it from us here in Como. We're going to send you to studio. Guys, take it away.
Now welcome in SEC Now. Coming up next, 8:30 Eastern, Tolu Smith and Mississippi State. They have got to try to get right. They've lost 6 of their last 7. They are at home to face a Florida team that's won 3 of their last 4. I think one of the great numbers about Mississippi State, I hope you've seen this. I'm trying to, actually, no. Florida coming off that first half you saw, where they were 2 for 26 against A&M and still darn near won the basketball.
That was a tale of 2 halves. And it was not a lot of excitement in the first half, but second half was everything and then some.
No question. All right, so we just watched Alabama 85-64 take care of Missouri, and again, impressive fashion. We know Missouri did not have Kobe Brown. I think that we were all a little bit bummed out because the game might have played out a little bit differently here. What was impressive to you about Alabama, though?
Well, I talked about it before. Defensively, like, you can watch their offense, and they've got so many weapons. They're 80, 85 points every time they step on the floor. But defensively, think about Missouri. And yes, without Kobe Brown, I get it. But they're the #1 team in the SEC in field goal percentage. And Coach Oates and his Alabama team were able to hold them to 33%.
No question. Second 7-0 start in the last 30 seasons in conference play for Alabama. Nate Oates, kind enough to stop by after the win here and join us right now, Coach. This, again, back-to-back road games, back-to-back wins. What was the most satisfying part of this one on the road in Columbia? It's sellout crowd there, too.
I mean, I thought we did a good job taking care of the ball. You know, we knew we couldn't turn it over. I thought our guards did a pretty good job not turning it over. You know, I thought we missed a lot of open threes. So did they, though. I mean, we were fortunate they missed a lot of open threes. But I thought our guys didn't give many runs. I mean, this is a team, Missouri is a team of runs. They started to try to get on one there in the second half. I thought we did a good job stopping it before it could get any worse. But, you know, our guys have been tough and resilient this week.
Coach Oates, you got a lot of guys that can score the ball, do a lot of dynamic things, but Brandon Miller's one. Noah Clowney, how good is it for him to have a game this productive on the road like this?
I mean, he was good. You know, Missouri plays a lot of guards. They play a lot of lineups that we can't really have Charles in the game. Thought Clowney was great. He was good on the old glass. He had 5 old boards and ends up leading us in scoring. Just, you know, the switchability on defense, his activity on offense. In fact, he can stretch the floor. He didn't hit a 3 tonight, but he can make threes and finish at the rim, take you off the dribble. He's so versatile. He lets us play him at kind of a 4 and 5 both. So in games like this, we've got a really good stretch 5 we can play out there.
Coach, you guys are rolling, a lot of success. How do you approach talking with your team about keeping them level-headed when you get guys like us talking about how you may be the best team in the country? So how do you do that on a day-to-day basis with your team?
I mean, we don't talk about where we're at in the country. We talk about what we have to do to get better, and there's plenty of stuff we have to do to get better. Even tonight, I think we did a good job on the glass, especially in the second half. You know, there's plenty of other, we got beat off the dribble too much. Our switches weren't clean on defense. Offensively, I think some guys will be upset with their shooting percentages. I'm sure we'll have a bunch of guys in the gym on our off day tomorrow trying to get their shot right. But we just come in every day and try to figure out what we got to do to get better. And if we just get a little bit better every day, I think we'll be where we need to be at the end of the year.
I know you guys go back home now after playing a couple of road games, but road trips like this, and I don't know if you went back to Tuscaloosa after you were in Nashville. I guess I would imagine you would, but what do trips like this, especially when they result in a couple of wins, what can that do for a team as it continues to develop into what you want it to be in March?
Yeah, I mean, get on the road and you're able to spend time together, develop some bonds, you know, shoot the Nashville trip. We were supposed to fly back, and there was too much fog, and we had to drive. We had to drive all the way back. Got back at like 4:30 in the morning, so that was a late one after Tuesday. But our guys were good. You know, we gave them Wednesday off, and then they had a good couple days of practice. So I think that winning on the road's not easy, and I think our guys have done it. I mean, we went to Houston, and they were #1 in the country. We beat them on the road. We've had some tough road wins this year already. So went to Arkansas. You know, they're one of the more talented teams in the league. So we've had some tough road wins. You know, Missouri, this place should have looked like it was sold out to me today, and they've had a lot of energy in this building. You know, Coach Gates has done a good job re-energizing the fan base, and there was some energy when they went on a couple runs. It got loud, but our guys are pretty tough, resilient. They pull together in kind of hostile environments like this. It seems like they almost like it more sometimes, to be honest with you. They kind of feed off some of that energy sometimes.
Yeah. I would think so. By the way, it was a sellout for Missouri. They've been selling that place out here for the last few games. So you guys, good win, great win. 7-0 now, and have fun back home this week. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, fellas.
Hard
Appreciate
hats,
you.
Coach. Hard hats.
Yeah.